What is up, guys? Zach Ginn here, and in today's video, what I want to break down is the 7 things I wish I knew as a beginner in wholesaling real estate, and the things that I knew now that if I could kind of sit down with somebody, and especially my younger self, and really explain 7 key things in under 30 minutes or an hour, and really break down these important things to help me become a lot more money. Like if I probably told myself these 7 things starting out as a beginner, especially when it comes to making a 7-figure wholesaling operation, I could probably get there in half the time. And these are important lessons I think every beginner should know in wholesaling real estate, and ones that maybe are not the sexiest, but they're the most practical, and they're the ones that are going to lead to the best success possible. So that's what I want to do. I'm really excited. I'm jacked up today to break down exactly how you can start doing it for wholesaling real estate success. So if you're ready to go, if you're ready to learn exactly the top 7 things I wish you knew as a beginner and how you can know these things too, make sure you guys hit that like button and smash that subscribe button. You already know we are currently live. We love doing the live streams here and helping the people out. So without further ado, let's get it going and let's break this all down. So without further ado, I want to get in these top 7. And the one thing I want to tell you is if you're a beginner in wholesaling real estate, right? Like you want to look at wholesaling real estate in 2023 and look at how the whole wholesaling real estate game works, right? The entire game works in a very particular way where if you know how to market to motivated sellers, make offers to these sellers, and find cash buyers the right way, if you can really hit those 3 things kind of on a tee, you can become successful, right? And so many people think this is a myth, right? Oh my gosh, you need a bunch of money. You need to be this king closer type person. You got to cold call to get your first deal, right? And honestly, you don't need any of these things. So let's kind of break down the concepts that you need to know, and let's break everything down, right? And so before I get into it, I do want to give you a quick bonus thing, right? And this was a bonus I don't think a lot of wholesalers know as a beginner, right? And one thing I can tell you in wholesaling real estate, especially as a beginner, so many people think, so let me go pull it up. So I got my, I got the thing here. Where's the bonus one? Here's the bonus one. All right, so let's break down the bonus one, okay? So the bonus one clearly states here is, I didn't write the bonus one. I got the 7, but I did not write the bonus one, but all right, here's the bonus one. All right, so bonus number 1, and I think this is a very important one for a lot of people out here knowing, and this is bonus lesson, but you do not need a cold call to get your first deal. And let's kind of shift the color on this one because I think it's a little weird, but let's break this down first and foremost. You do not need to cold call to get your first wholesaling real estate deal. I think so many wholesalers out here truly believe that they have to cold call to get their first deal, right? They have to go out here and cold call all these motivated sellers to get their first deal, right? Society says that I have to cold call. I see Zach cold calling getting his first deal, and that's the way I actually get my first deal. And the honest truth is you do not need a cold call to get your first deal, right? That might be somebody's journey, or that might be your journey, but I think for a lot of people, cold calling is the most practical way, but it is not the only way, right? I think so many people, they grew up watching Kobe Bryant play basketball, right? Or they watched LeBron James play basketball. Like, you don't have to play just like Kobe or just like LeBron to be in the NBA, right? Like, you can forge your own path and you can still become an MVP while not playing like those type of guys, right? Those are just styles playing basketball. One style might be better for you on one end and one might not be good for the other end, right? I think there's this misconception that you have to be just like this one person, right? Because if you're like 5'8", you might not be able to dunk like LeBron, right? But maybe you can have some moves like Kyrie Irving, or like have some good handles like John Morant, right? Like, you don't have to really go out here and be somebody, and you can't have to be only that person's mold, right? You can be somebody else's mold and really do well with them, right? And I think it's the first thing you got to understand, right? You can SMS text blast, you can reverse drive for dollars. Heck, my first $100,000 in wholesaling real estate came from bandit signs, right? And I think so many people think that, oh, I was this cold calling expert from the beginning. And like, no, I actually had a decent amount of deals on my belt before I actually started cold calling, right? And yes, that gave me some confidence, right? But really, I still had to go through that grind. Wholesaling real estate is still a grind. No matter what you do, no matter what you think or whatever you say, there is going to be this quote unquote grind, in wholesaling. And you're always going to have to deal with that painful grind part. But if you can overcome that adversity, that's going to make you very successful in this business, right? So I just want to give everybody a quick bonus here so we can understand that you do not need to cold call to get your first wholesaling real estate deal, right? You don't need a cold call to get your 1,000th deal, right? I know people have never cold called that got the first deal, right? Like, these people do SMS text blasting, do direct mail, bandit signs. Heck, I know some PPC Facebook ad people, right? There's a lot of ways outside of wholesaling, wholesaling to get your first deal that doesn't have to do with cold calling at all. And I think so many wholesalers feel like cold calling is their only option. And honestly, cold calling is just a plethora of options for you, right? And I mean, cold calling, I think a lot of people get a bad rap on it, but no, you don't need to get your first deal. I think a lot of people are scared to cold call, are scared to talk to sellers, and that is an underlying issue, but you do not need to only cold call to get your first wholesaling real estate deal. I want everybody to understand that, because it drives me crazy when people think that like that is their big must, and that's what's gonna make them successful in this business. And it's not the cold calling, right? If you could talk to sellers effectively and bring out exactly what you want to say to a motivated seller, that'll lead you out to more success. But no, guys, don't act like you have to cold call to get your deal, right? So let's talk about concept number one, right? Let's talk about lesson number one I wish I knew starting out, but this is an honest truth. Quality is going to be quantity when it comes to your marketing, talking to sellers, and leads, right? And I want you guys to think about that and really kind of sit on that for a second, right? It's more important to have high quality conversations with sellers. I honestly would rather you spend an hour with a lot of really good leads cold calling them or trying for dollars or whatever you want to do with that list or direct mail than spending, 2 or 3 hours with really bad leads, right? And I see so many wholesalers come up to me and they're like, Zach, I pulled a vacant list and I used very low quality skip tracing. I went to Fiverr, it was 2 cents and I'm getting no results and your stuff's terrible and you don't know what you're talking about, Zach, right? I get this all the time. And it's kind of the funniest thing ever to me. I always think it's a joke when people say that to me. But honestly, if you go to freewholesaling.com and you really see the concepts that I teach about wholesaling real estate and exactly how to get your first, second, third, fourth, 10th deal, I always talk about how important it is to get very high quality skip tracing. And a lot of people, when you hear that from a guru, it's like, oh, you got to use this link to go get the high quality skip tracing. And hey, I tell everyone, hey, if you want to get the best skip tracing, ZachData.com, use batch, whatever, right? But you can also get decently high quality skip tracing for free. The only cost of it is you're going to have to use True People Search or like Fast People Search or something like that online. And it is very high quality compared to a Fiverr, right? It's still going to be higher quality than any of these Fiverr paid services, and it's free. Everyone knows you have to manually pull a type of list like this, but honestly, it's really not the end of the world. And I think a lot of people give TruePeopleSearch.com a bad rap. And honestly, I don't think you can give it a bad rap, right? It gives you free skip tracing to the people and for the people. And for that reason, I'm always riding with TruePeopleSearch.com. If you're broke, you got no money, it is going to be hands down still the best way for you to get a bunch of deals in wholesale. But just understand that you want to focus more on getting quality conversations over quantity. And a lot of people mentally get screwed up out here when they do a lot of low quality leads and they think that cold calling for 50, 100 hours yields no result, and it's because they're terrible or they're a bad person or they suck at wholesaling. And that's usually never the case. The case always, and the truth always lies within you having quality conversations with your motivated seller. So it's good to have 500 super quality leads, trying for dollars leads, right? Guys, I'll tell you straight up, the trying for dollars leads are going to be very high quality conversations to have versus me pulling out here. I love the vacant list, but if I do a vacant list in like Houston, Texas, where a lot of people are doing it, it's going to be a lot lower quality, especially if I got bad skip tracing on there. So I want everybody to understand that quality is going to trump the quantity here. And a very important one too. And this is something that I hear a lot of people say, and I do say this a lot of times in wholesaling. I've saying this for a while, but quality plus quantity is going to be actually better than quality, right? So how do you beat a person that's doing a lot of high quality leads? You just push it with quantity, right? So my market, there are people in my market that they actually run a pretty decent wholesaling real estate business, right? They'll make 6 figures this year. And they're pulling the same government lists I always tell you guys about. They subscribe to the channel, all that great stuff, right? Here's the issue. They'll do maybe 500, leads a week on really high quality stuff, reverse rank for dollars, probates, code violations, all this, like all the stuff I talk about, but they hit a good amount. Versus you look at my company, why we're doing 7 figures, right? And 7 figures in our local market, and then we do a bunch of other in virtual wholesaling. But like, why do we crush it there? Because we do every government list, right? Like we hit every single one. Where our competition is going to hit 30% of them, 40% of them, right? They'll hit 500 in a week. We'll hit like 2,000 in a week, right? And then we'll constantly follow up with that list. And because we're having the same quality conversations as our competition, but how do we whoop their butts? We just add an extra layer on top of this, which is is, probably guessed it, but quantity. You add the quality and the quantity together. So we have quality and we have quantity, and it's not a zero-sum game. If you mix them together into quality and quantity, that's when the money starts popping in, right? That's the really important stuff, right? Lesson number 2, this is very important for everyone. You can't catch fish. Why did I put cash? You can't catch fish unless you're fishing. And I want people to understand this. A lot of people out here are saying, Zach, I'm going out here, I'm going fishing, and I'm not catching anything. And I'm like, okay, you didn't catch any fish out here on the boat. They said, no. I'm like, tell me your fishing schedule. Well, I got up at 1 p.m. and then I went on the boat and then I went to the fishing spot for 15 minutes, took a quick lunch break, took a nap, and then I went home. I'm like, all right, so you spent really 20, 30 minutes fishing and you're upset you didn't catch a fish? Jose over here has been fishing 4 hours and he got up at 6 a.m. and at 10 a.m. he's got all these fish because he spent 4 hours doing it, right? And I think it's always funny, but like everyone that complains to me that they're not doing deals or not finding deals, they don't spend enough time actually finding the deals, right? And a lot of people are like, oh, but I got the perfect list or I got the perfect, I don't care. You still got to fish, right? And in wholesaling real estate, we're fishing for deals, right? And you can't catch fish unless fishing. So if somebody comes up to me and says, Zach, how do I catch more fish? All right, well, there's 2 ways to catch more fish, right? There's 2 ways to do more wholesaling deals, right? Thing number 1, just spend more time fishing, right? So if I'm fishing 4 hours a day and I want to double the amount of fish I catch, why don't I spend 8 hours a day fishing, right? And obviously times change with the fishing, and you know that's an example that's kind of different for a lot of things, but like all in all, roughly, I could double my time doing it, right? Or number 2, I can double the quality of it, right? And this is quality versus quantity debate I just said before, right? With fishing is I can get better lures, better equipment, and really it's important, but I want you guys to understand why I'm using a fishing analogy for number 2 here is with fishing, you can get the best equipment, like you can really push quality pretty hard and be a really good fisherman. Sometimes it's not going to yield you double the results, even if you have the best stuff out here, right? And a lot of people think that's like, I have the most perfect script, everything. Like you can do that and really, you can really fine detail your entire process. But like, if you're only doing it for an hour a day, you're only going to be limited to what you can do, right? And it's sort of like a tool out there, right? So I could have a metal shovel and I can have my hands to dig in the sand, right? One guy digging for 30 minutes with a really nice shovel is going to do good. But if I dig with my hands for 8 hours, I'm probably going to whoop your butt. And it's going to take me a lot longer to keep digging. But if I having the quality of the shovel, which is my hands, times the quantity of me shoveling, which is my hands, I'm going to whoop your butt because it's a multiplier, right? Quantity times quality. And if your quality is really bad, you can add a bunch of quantity to make it up. Or if your quantity is really low, the times you're marketing. So if I can only market 1 hour a week or 2 hours a week, my quality better be really high. The man or woman that can add quality with the quantity, so they fish a lot with the best stuff, boom, they're going to win, right? That is the secret to the marketing game in wholesaling real estate. Again, nobody talks about it. The guru don't want to talk about it, but that's the truth of it. Number 3, which is super important for everybody watching this, but you have to create a schedule, stick with it. Now, what do I mean by this? In wholesaling real estate, it's very important that you create a schedule and you stick to it, right? And the number 1 question I always get, guys, is how do I actually go out here and consistently get deals, right? And you know, I always say that quote, you know, if you want to catch fish, just fish. Like you can't catch fish unless you're fishing. But the second thing here is how do I consistently do deals, right? And that's a very important one. How do I consistently catch fish? If I want to consistently catch fish, I got to consistently go fishing, right? And how do I get really good at showing up every single day to go to the gym or eat right or do whatever it takes for success, right? Creating a schedule has always been that thing that has given me that success, right? So if I want to find a way to become as successful as possible in wholesaling, right? I got to constantly put in the work every single day. And the best way to put in the work every single day is just creating a habit or creating a schedule, right? And so if you look at that really jacked or buff dude and you talk to him like, do you ever miss working out 4 or 5 days a week? Like, no, I never miss a workout on the days I have to work out because that person usually has a schedule. If you look at people that are very disciplined on things, they always have a consistent schedule. And you're like, oh, schedule's not my thing. Scheduling might not be your thing, but that might be the reason why you're not doing well, right? And if you can create a marketing schedule, like, hey, we're going to pull this list every single month. We're going to do this action every single month. That's going to lead you to wholesaling real estate success. The constant action and constantly going out here and marketing and marketing and marketing, it's just going to help you keep that momentum going. Once you keep that momentum going, it's going to lead you to more success, guys. Number 4, this is very important, but cash doesn't mean anything. And this is a very important statement. I think a lot of beginners out here, and especially me out here, right? You got to understand this. This is a big mindset shift, right? And this is a huge one, but you don't need cash. And this is a 2% two-pronged thing, right? Like cash for marketing. And when you talk to a motivated seller and you're young and they're like, oh, you're young, you got no money, I don't want to talk to you. A lot of beginner wholesalers out here get so frustrated or so rattled that somebody doesn't want to deal with them because they're young and they don't think you have the cash, right? And it's just knowing how to overcome those objections and especially bringing up those examples, right? So I think of an example here. It's like, okay, someone comes up to me and says, oh, you're too young to buy my house. I always say, hey, Mr. Seller, does my age affect me buying your property if I have the money in my bank account to buy it right now, me and my partner, which is cash buyer? Price should not matter, right? You know, your age should not matter, right? Like it doesn't matter at all. And if I have the money, me and my partner, my age is not going to affect anything, right? And I always let everyone know, it's like, you know, Joan of Arc was 17 when she was a general for France as a woman, and that was very dang impressive. You look at Alexander the Great, I think he was 20 when he conquered the known world. I think it was 19 when he was general. Maybe it was 21, 22 when he conquered like Persia and like greatest empires of all time, right? Took over Egypt as a Macedonian, crazy stuff. But like so many young people at very young ages have just taken over life by the reins, right? And you have to have that confidence, but really you should let people know that your age is not going to stop you, right? Marquis de Lafayette, and I always say this all the time, my American history buffs right here, right? I think he was 19 when he became a brigadier general, I think, from George Washington. He was 19 years old, and he was French. He wasn't even American, and he just came from France at 19 and like, I'm just going to be the brigadier general, and boom, you know, helped America become what America is, right? And so you look at all these young men and women out here that did great things at such a young age. Your age shouldn't affect it, right? And you kind of look at cash, right? Your cash shouldn't affect anything either. And so if you have no money to do marketing, don't really fret over it. I see so many people get so frustrated that they got no money. It's like, I could care less if you have money starting out. I care about your attitude, your mindset, right? And I care about the amount of effort you're going to put in, right? And if you're willing to have the right mindset and the right attitude and put in the effort, that's what it is. Wholesaling real estate requires two things: money and time. And if you are willing to put at least one of those things up, it's going to help you do a lot better. And a lot of people think money's more important than time, and time equals money, right? Everyone says, oh, time is money, right? And what is the one thing you can do, right? I can always buy someone's time. And it's kind of funny always to say it, but like I can buy others people's time, but I can't buy any time for myself. And I want people to understand that. Like with money, I can always get money, right? Like I could lose 50 grand and then I can kind of make 50 grand pretty easy for myself. For me, if I lose 8 hours, it'd be very hard for me to get that 8 hours back, right? And it's almost impossible. It is impossible to get 8 hours of your life back, right? And I want you guys to understand that you can always get money back, but not time. And so if you're getting really good at wholesaling real estate, you got to put the time in. And there's no amount of money that's going to get you really good at wholesaling real estate, right? You actually got to put the time and the effort and everything in it, right? Everybody knows, anyone playing sports that knows what I understand growing up in the United States, there's always those rich kids that were playing sports with you, right? And it's always funny because like the best athletes are never those really rich, pampered kids that had the personal athletic trainers and all this. Because like money's not going to make you a really good athlete, right? It's all about the mindset, right? And there's some correlation to wealth and intelligence for just like getting into like schools, like private schools. But like when you really look at an IQ test of people that have a bunch of money versus not, the amount of money you make doesn't make you smarter or not, right? And something that I hope a lot of people understand is like if you want to get really good at something and really, especially in athletics or especially when it comes to math or sciences, it's like, it's not how rich you were growing up, it's how smart you are, right? And you can't pay to be really good at a lot of things. You got to actually put the time and the effort in. So I just want people to understand that like cash isn't going to stop you from being successful in wholesaling, right? You got to go out here, take the action and do the work. And it's going to give you the best success and the best shot of actually becoming successful, right? Number 5, this is something I wish I knew for myself, and definitely something I would smack my 17-year-old self off to change my mindset on things, right? This is here number 5. You have to constantly improve yourself if you're going to be good at wholesaling real estate. And most importantly, stop caring about others. And I'm not saying to be very mean or something, but like stop caring about your competition. Stop caring about what other people think. Stop caring if your mom or aunt or whoever in your family says, don't do this wholesaling, they call it a Ponzi scheme, right? Whatever scary word they want to put in. And if anyone calls wholesaling a Ponzi scheme, that's my favorite. I'm like, explain to me what a Ponzi scheme. And they explain it, and I look it up, and then I have them explain it to me online. And then I explain wholesaling, and they're like, put any money in? I'm like, no. I'm like, well, it's not a Ponzi scheme. I'm like, why are you calling it a pipe dream, right? It's always really funny, but you sort of look at the entire wholesaling process. If you want to get really good at this business, you have to constantly improve on yourself, improve on your skills on talking to motivated sellers, and improve on your skills on becoming a better person overall, right? And once you stop caring about what other people think about you and becoming self-conscious, especially talking to a motivated seller, and this is one lesson that's gonna be a very long time to figure out, but your competition really doesn't care about you too much, right? They might care about what you do all the time, but like they don't really care if you become successful or not successful, right? Of course they want your downfall, but like they're really not gonna matter in the long term, right? And if you're a motivated seller, I hope you know if like you have an accent or something, or you look funny or whatever, you might not look funny, you might think you look funny, nobody really cares. And a lot of motivated sellers just care about getting their house sold. And if you could sell confidence and authority that you can buy their property cash, for most people, that's what they care about. They could care less about the other things and the other tiny trivial things out here. It's all about talking to motivated sellers, having conversations, and giving offers. And once you stop caring and being self-conscious about yourself and just knowing that if I can actually go out here, talk to motivated sellers and become just a better human being, that's actually going to lead you to the best success possible in wholesaling real estate. So proving yourself, stop caring about what other people think, and I promise you, it will lead you to more wholesaling real estate success. Number 6, and this is a huge lesson that I tell a bunch of people, and heck, I wish I could tell more people about this because this is the honest truth, but the more leads you market to, the more times you do SMS text blasting, the more you cold call, the more drawing for dollars leads, I mean, et cetera, whatever you want to put in here, the more you market, the luckier you get on getting a hold. And I want that to really set in and really just chill out for a lot of people watching this and really think about this from a macro perspective, okay? The more I go out here and the more I market, the better chance I am going to get a deal. And it's really for anything in life, right? So if I want to go out here and I want to go see a very rare bird wherever I live, right? It's a rare bird. I'm going to get luckier on seeing that bird if I spend more time in the woods where the birds are. So if I go from spending 2 hours a day in the woods to 8 hours a day, I'm going to have a luckier shot at doing it, right? If I want to see a shooting star, if I spend all night outside, I'm going to get luckier on seeing a shooting star if I spent the day inside a house, right? If you want to get luckier at something, just do what it takes to get X results more. And that seems like very stupid to say, but honestly true for anything in life, right? And it's kind of true on the opposite, right? So if I want to get unlucky about something bad happens, so if I want to have a better chance of me not being broke, if I want to be broke, if I want to increase my chance of being broke, I should probably work less, spending less time chasing my dreams, and I'll get luckier on getting broke, right? And it's the opposite. If I want to get rich, the more time I spend doing my dream or doing that business or doing that side hustle that could potentially make me millions of dollars, the luckier I'm going to get results. So I want everybody understanding that is marketing is the lifeblood of this business. And I know talking to cash buyers is super important, still one of the most important things out here. But the more you just market yourself out, the more cash buyers you talk to too, the more lucky you're going to get on getting the best deal possible. A lot of people think a lot of people get lucky on getting deals, and luck does have a part on it, right? And sometimes it's like a poker hand, right? What's the chance you're going to get a royal flush? If I get more poker hands dealt to me, it's going to be better, right? If I play 21 blackjack, the chance of me hitting a blackjack like 21, if I play 100 hands of blackjack, I'm going to almost have a 100% chance of hitting a blackjack, right? I'm going to get luckier at that, right? And if I want to roll, I don't know, 5 and a 5 in dice, I roll it once, I'm not going to be too lucky getting it there, right? I might get it once or twice to get lucky, but like if I roll it 100 times, I'm going to hit 10 at least once, right? My chance of luck's going to keep going. So I tell everyone, like, Zach, how do we get luckier? Keep rolling the dice, like keep rolling it. The more at bats you get, how do I get lucky at hitting a home run? Now, a lot of people know this, but like even if you're bad at baseball, if you want to get a home run, if you just get enough at-bats, even the pitchers can hit homers. Now, it's a lot rare. You need a lot of at-bats for it, but heck, sometimes the right pitch hits and boom, you get it. The right lead hits, and you just, even if you're not the best equipped for it, that pitch is just going to come and like be perfect, right? So why don't people understand that if you want to get luckier, you got to do the things that'll get you lucky, right? And last but not least, and this is a huge concept that I want people to understand this, and this is definitely a new mantra for me and a mantra I want a lot of people to understand. But in wholesaling real, the hungrier person wins. And what I mean by this, right? I don't want to get all dog eat dog world on you, but you look at two wholesalers, and I don't like comparing wholesalers like a battle royale, but If I'm going to look at two wholesalers that are learning at freewholesaling.com and they're in the same market, let's say they're in the San Antonio market, right? I see two newbies, both 18, see guys that just graduated high school. Okay. They're both 18 guys, graduated high school, same demographic, same thing, right? Maybe they live on the same street, same internet, same money, everything. And I only have two people, right? And they're both getting their information from freewholesaling.com. What is my best determining factor if they're going to become successful or not? There's only one really determining factor for me. It's how hungry they are. What is their why? How badly do they want it? And I can always see the person that is the least hungry is more likely to give up when the going gets tough. And what do I mean by this? When I was cold calling 5 hours a day, 5 days a week for a year straight for cold calling, become a complete master of cold calling, I was hungry. I had a lot to prove. I never wanted to work a bag boy job the rest of my life. I did not want to be a minimum wage person. I didn't want to work a regular corporate type job. I didn't want to be a stupid Publix manager. I didn't want to do any of these things in my life. That was not where I think my life deserved. I didn't think that was the life I was heading. I don't think that was the life I needed. And that wasn't the life that I thought I truly deserved for myself, my family, and my future. I knew I only had one shot at this thing called life, and was I really going to squander it working a regular job where people tell me what to do all stinking day? No. That was not my life. And that was not the life I knew I deserved. And I was really hungry. And I had competition all day, right? And they were not willing to cold call 5 hours a day, but I was, because I remember closing. I remember going out here on these at the job there at the grocery store. And I remember going out here and cleaning toilets and saying, this is not what I am. Like, this is not what I deserve. And this is not where my life is going to end up. Right. And I knew I had to make that change. And I imagined myself quitting and going back to that. And I'm like, I can never do that. Can't. Right. And then you start thinking to yourself, it's like, well, if I don't cold call, I'm going to get less lucky on getting a deal. And then that's going to leave me more likely to go have that job I hated so much. So you think about that, and you just constantly think about that in your head. And like, I got so hungry, come as successful as possible. I got so hungry to actually go out here and keep calling, because I knew every call I did got me closer to getting that deal. And then you look at someone else in my competition that just wanted to make an extra 15K, just why not, right? I love my job or whatever, that just weren't as hungry, you ain't gonna win. And you sort of look at this, and I don't want to use a gruesome example, so this is all theoretical, but if you got two lions and one lion is full, like they're full, right? They already ate something in the day, and then you have another lion, and that lion has eaten 4 days, starving, it's hungry. And you got, let's say, 50 pounds of meat right there, right? And those lions had to battle it out, and whoever won that would get that meat. Who are you going to bet? What lion do you think is going to win? They're same type of lion, right? What lion do you think is going to push their body to the limit to get that meat to survive? The person that if they don't win this, they could not live, or the one that they don't win this, whatever, right? Who's going to win that, right? And skill set's even, right? Because obviously skill set can be a big factor, right? So hunger is a different thing, right? If I'm not hungrier for things, but I can whoop anyone's skill set in my market for cold calling, I'm still going to win. But if you have an even skill set as a beginner, who's going to win? It's the hungry lion, right? I'm never scared. Like, I see alligators all the time. I do a lot of hiking. I love hiking, right? Some marshland, swamps, things like that. Florida boy stuff. I'm never afraid of an alligator that's full. It's always the hungry alligators you got to be scared of, right? If I'm on a beach, it's the hungry shark. It's not the shark that's full. It's the hungry shark. And if you know the secret why sharks are so ferocious is great white sharks. Great white sharks actually have a thing in their bodies where they're always hungry. They actually don't know what it's like to be full. They have a thing in their mind where they're always hungry, never not hungry, which makes them always aggressive, always ready to attack, always ready to eat something, always hungry, never not hungry. That's very scary. Fun fact about sharks, I think sharks or great white sharks are immune to cancer, which is kind of cool. And they always try to study sharks, but that's shark facts for the day for Zach. But the truth is, the hungry person always wins. And I get a lot of people coming at me and saying, Zach, should I quit wholesaling? I don't know what to do. And I'm like, hey, maybe you're not hungry enough. Maybe you should quit. Maybe you should go back to that job, and maybe you should hit that point where your boss yells at you for the 500th time, and then you're sick of it, and then you're finally coming out here and willing to actually do the work when the going gets tough. Maybe you should struggle more. And it's a very gruesome conversation to have. But if you're feeling like you want to quit wholesaling, maybe you should quit. Maybe you need to struggle a lot more in your life. Maybe you got to eat some top ramen for a month straight before you say, I got to make a change in my life. This is not what I deserve to be. Maybe you have to be at that. For a lot of people, you don't have to be at rock bottom, or you don't have to be at a really tough point in your life to actually get hungry, right? I know a lot of people, that some of the hungriest people in the world that just want to make just a change in their life. But you look back at that example, right? You got two lines going at it. The one's hungry, one's not. Who's going to win? It's the hungrier one. I got two wholesalers, both 18 years old. One wants to take care of their mom that maybe can't financially take care of themselves, and one that's their mom's taken care of and they're kind of financially taken care of. The hungrier wholesaler is going to win. The person that wants it more is going to win. The person that has that why a lot more is going to win. And once you start thinking about that for yourself, that's when things start changing. And it's not because you're hungry it's going to make you a champion, but because of that hunger is going to drive discipline consistently and the will to never, ever give up. And once you never give up and you never surrender and you have that calloused mind to constantly go out here and live the life of your dreams, the life you deserve and the life you need, that's when you become successful. So guys, those are my top 7 things I wish I knew as a beginner that hopefully you know now, hopefully that helped you learn a little more about wholesaling real estate, a little more my mindset when it comes to being a beginner and what they should know. Promise if I knew a lot of this stuff, it would help me a lot, right? And I think the biggest lesson I think I can learn is stop caring what other people thought, and that helped my mindset, my confidence a lot. The more leads I market to, the better. And then, the schedule and sticking to it. I did not have a decent schedule starting. I mean, I had a schedule every Saturday, but like it wasn't as good as it should have been starting out. So believe me on that one. So